Knows my
Yep,
takes. He's on the group chat, so
all
he
the
knows
time.
the less edited version of my takes, if you believe that or not, Greg. All right, we're
Exactly.
live.
If you don't have the 2 days to read Colin's patch notes, you could jump onto Player Driven Live and absorb the summary here. But welcome to Player Driven Live. Greg here. We have an action-packed episode. We have a special guest. We have so many games to be talking about. Today, we are joined by our normal everyday co-host, Colin Neese from Mind Game Data. And today, we're joined by Stephen Lenz. Stephen, you want to say hi?
Hey, all, welcome in and let's have some fun.
Let's have some fun. And we were just talking about the games on our pre-call before we jumped on. There's so many cool things coming out this week. And shortly we have Resident Evil, we have Marathon, we have World of Warcraft, we're talking about it, but we still got some time for it. But Wolverine. Colin, I saw your excitement about Wolverine, and I'm guessing that's the number one game you're most looking forward to here. But what will you be playing this weekend?
Well, not Wolverine. It comes out at a perfectly timed moment in September, I think 14th or 15th. I don't have the date in front of me, but it is mid-September. So I was very thrilled about the release date more than anything because I feel like they're getting out of the way Grand Theft Auto 6, which will clobber even Wolverine. So they'll sell a lot of units in the 2 months distance and they'll be just fine. And they took that spot first, right? So they kind of put the marker in the sand. So hugely excited about Wolverine. I love Insomniac Games. I love all three Spider-Man games. Do I have qualms with the second one? Sure. But Steven knows about those qualms because we have conversations offline about it with other people. But I have qualms. But like overall, like I saw the trailer and I was like, I think they nailed Wolverine. So that's like my second most anticipated title this year easily. I just want to play Wolverine. That looks awesome. Yeah, and then other than that, the other announcement, and then we'll see here about games and pass it on. The Konami announcement, which I'm like, why wasn't this in the state of play? I'm far more interested in them bringing back the beat 'em up games from the Marvel era of the 90s than I am Castlevania as another Castlevania like a Metrovania game. I'm like, I'm less interested in that and more interested in the Marvel stuff because, and I'm wearing a Spider-Man shirt, so maybe I'm incredibly biased, but like Maximum Carnage. Kid you not, it's like one of my Apex like hardest games I've ever played. If you've ever played that game, it had the red cartridge. It went in my SNES, right? And it's so unforgiving because you get like 3 lives. There's no saves. You just have to get through a pretty long beat 'em up game with pretty wonky mechanics as you like have to like learn how to beat a boss. Like I remember one in the back of the Baxter building, the Final Fantastic Four building, causing me and my friends like issues to try to get through. But like, and then you get to the end, you have to fight Carnage in a burning house because this is a story of Maximum Carnage from the 90s comic, and it's punishingly hard because if you lose, you go back to the beginning of the whole story. That's it. It's like punishingly hard. So they announced they're gonna put saves in it. I think that's a move for Squibs to quote Lucky's dad from Bluey. Great quote. That's it's too easy. No, they should play it hard. If people complain about the difficulty, so be it. But that's how the game was meant to be played, is punishingly hard. And so I'm excited for the remaster to come out sometime this year. And good on the Konami. And like it's a bundle of games. Like, oh, of course, I'm gonna play the X-Men arcade game at home with my son. That sounds like a no-brainer. That sounds like a lot of fun, right? So I'm excited about that. So Wolverine, Konami, or Marvel games, the year of Marvel. Let's go. How about
You
you,
know,
Greg? How about you,
what
Stevie?
I'm hearing most from you through all this, and I wanna get back to this at some point, is every week you just talk about Castlevania. That's all I got from that conversation. Every week you talk about Castlevania. Whether I looked up the Netflix show this morning because I remember you just talking so highly of it, and
For
I
sure.
mean, people just love it. And I have a feeling, and I was watching another Game Ranks. You ever watch Game Ranks on YouTube? He was also talking about Castlevania. He was talking about the different Metrovania games that were coming out, and he's like, I don't know what's happening to Castlevania. So I have a feeling something from Castlevania will just come out of nowhere shortly, just because between you and him just willing it out of nowhere, that it will come to be.
I just wish they would take the Castlevania show and adapt it into a video game. Like lean into what they've done well from an IP standpoint in the modern world, and just take that to update the original Castlevania games and like under the guise of the incredibly popular and well-made animated show. So that's
I
my two
agree with you,
cents.
Colin. I absolutely agree with you on that. I think the Castlevania, like the Netflix series, was just absolutely incredible. And I'm a diehard Metroidvania fan, and I mean, I just beat Hollow Knight and Hollow Knight Silk Song to completion, and Colin got to hear about that on the back end. I mean, I think I told you about it as well, Greg, and I posted a little bit about it. Yeah, I definitely do agree with you. I wish that they would just recalibrate and kind of redial in to modernize it, and to kind of align it with the movie series. So, I mean, I am looking forward to Castlevania as well. Maybe a little bit more than you, Colin. Nonetheless, I mean, yeah, it just brings me back to my childhood. I grew up playing Castlevania, so along with the classics like from Blizzard, Diablo, WoW, you name it, like I played it. So
That's what Steven and I were talking about earlier. We were talking about the classic Blizzard games. For as much popularity as they have, I just hate them because of my selfish of having to watch a friend play it. But even Diablo 2 was just re-released, right? And I feel like it's getting great high remarks across the board.
yeah,
No.
and I mean, go ahead, Colin.
Oh no, you talk. Diablo fans, step in, please.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm dying to play it. I'm still working on deciding which way I want to, play around with my MacBook to get over to it. I mean, having put 10,000 hours into the classic D2, like no like shit's given there, for a better lack of terms. And I mean, it's one of the best ARPGs of all time. Like the loop is just perfect. The gearing is like to perfection as well. The desired skills, like especially with Lord of Destruction, that came out shortly after the original Diablo, like they brought to life like teleport, like all of the battle orders and battle cries, from the barbarians, all the desired skills into it, and it's kind of just immersed and like snowballed from that. I haven't gotten to play the latest one yet. I am thrilled to play as the Warlock though, and thrilled to even give the Orc Barbarian a go as well. And to be that classic individual that does hardcore and goes and does Travancal runs until the day that I die, for a better lack of terms. Uh, I would say too. I mean, for as much flack as the story plot gets, I like the story plot. I like the lore behind it. I love like all of like the pun like phrases, like you hear like "time to die," like from the character, like from, I believe it was the barbarian, if I'm recalling. Help me from the necromancer. Like it's just like, it brings back a lot of like the glory days in it. And nothing more magical. I mean, I know David Brevik's since been like long removed from it. Nonetheless, I mean, what he did was magical back then. So I mean, that's where I mean, I can start with it. And it's a number of level 99 characters, a number of like perfectionist seeking opportunities for
Oh my
me.
god.
So
Look, I have so many like nice things to say about Blizzard. I think, well, I know I do. Here in a minute, and so I just think it's like a real nice like they're on the upswing right now. So good for Blizzard. Broad generally speaking. Before we jump to Microsoft, I would be remiss not to talk about Marathon. I think the Server Slam literally went live now. I saw on Twitch they have already. Let me refresh my Twitch page because I'm doing it old school side. 221,000 concurrents on Twitch watching every big streamer. Probably paid, but that's fine. Playing Marathon, the Server Slam. This to me is a really interesting case study of everyone on the internet wants to like throw Marathon under the bus as the next Concord, the next High Guard, and I'm dubious at that because to me they would have come out in the game in the fall, and maybe that would have been the fate. But they actually took it back, and presumably listened to the community feedback and made some changes. And like, while the community and our data hasn't gotten too crazy on Marathon, like they've done stuff and it's kind of barely it moved the needle fine, not like crazy. Ultimately the play test and this weekend is going to make or break the weekend or the game because people, you know, don't buy the marketing messaging from it, but they will buy seeing the game being played or playing it themselves as to whether or not they want to fully commit to this as the next quote unquote companion game to our creators, right? And we'll see. But I'm excited. I know for those who I talk to regularly are excited about Resident Evil. I respect you. I don't care about that franchise at all. I have no interest in playing that game. I will be playing Marathon this weekend personally. I'm excited to play Marathon.
So I am extremely excited about Marathon. We've talked about this week over week, and I wasn't excited about Marathon. And then they kind of did the Battlefield thing where they opened up everything that was happening to their community. And at first it backfired, but they actually were able to recover quite well. They became very transparent with their community. They were very talking about the dev roadmap, what they're doing, the changes that they're making. They're doing the server slam now, which I'm pumped about, which I've convinced everyone to play. And with all that being said, I am not extremely bullish on Marathon for the reason being that I think it's going to be too hardcore. And I think it's going to be too hardcore for me, definitely. I know it's very big into Tarkov. Those are the comparisons that it's getting. And I think the general public doesn't really understand what a sweaty type of game these can be. And I think, again, it's not a bad thing. Maybe they just want that small niche that they know they can control. But I think you're going to find more people go back to Arc Raiders because of we could call it its chill nature. But I will be playing Marathon. I'm probably going to be the one dying the most, but I will be there.
Same here. That's my game of choice for the weekend too, as well as Marathon. So I mean, we're all three in the same bunch, and I'm similar to you, Greg, similar to you, Colin, as well. You know, kind of bearish, nonetheless, stoked to play it myself. And I, on the other hand, I mean, I was a competitive Counter-Strike Source player back in Cal M years ago now. And so, I mean, FPS is my thing. Nonetheless, I do think that the learning curve is going to deter a lot of people, from possibly wanting to stick around long. So they'll have to figure out maybe some crafty ways, to kind of play around with the mechanics in that regard. So, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting for sure.
I I think the expectations of this game are so deflated that I feel like we're so like they're walking into just general upside, right? Like
Mhm.
I feel like had it come out in September, I think everything that said is be very fair and probably very right. But now that it's out, like now that people are comparing it to Concord, I don't think it's gonna be Concord. Like I
Mhm.
don't think it's gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be High Guard either. I think it'll do fine. Maybe it's not gonna reinvent the entire, Bungie as a organization as they shift away from Destiny to the next thing or whatever. Like I don't think that's gonna happen, but I do think they'll likely make up some ground. It won't be as much of a loss. Maybe they'll make a little bit of money. Is it gonna be company defining like Destiny and Halo were? Dubious, maybe, but dubious on that one. But is it gonna be saving face? Yes, I think they'll save face on this, right? And it'll be like fine, so they can go back to being Bungie and kind of set up the next thing, whatever that next thing might be. Hopefully, Destiny 3. Not
You
just not
assume there'll be
putting.
a next thing, though. This could be it, man. And speaking, we see a lot of comments. I don't know if you guys see the chat coming in, but I don't know if my LinkedIn chat's working properly. I'm seeing everyone's chat coming in, but Dan Reb's saying about how, again, young people don't understand what it is. People don't know what type of game it is. Benjamin's saying no long-term sustainability here. Probably see a big spike in the beginning of revenue made, then dropping off. And I kind of see that. Again, that's not a bad thing if you get those sweaty extraction shooters in there. They'll probably play that for the next 10 years, and that's a success. It's not the same size scale success as a Halo or a Destiny was, but in this market, if you get a live ops game going and kicking with constant content players, there's nothing wrong with that.
So
I
I'm
100% agree. Oops, good. Yeah, go ahead,
also
Colin.
not.
Pipe it.
I'm literally scrolling Twitch leaderboard now, and like never mind the massive paid people that would have probably may not have played this game, but like I see the core OG Destiny community, like King Ithalian, he's playing this game right now. Like there's a hunger from the Destiny community to play something else from Bungie. Like they just want to play something else, right? So I know they played the first beta. They were not very happy with it. Paul Tassi at Twitter, he just like literally railed on that game all summer. I felt like fast forward to now, I think they're open to Bungie having listened. And to be honest, it's very clear that this is not the first time a lot of those people probably seen that game. I don't know what I don't know, but I will say the vibes on the internet have been like they have been seeding this out and iterative with the kind of core members of their community up to this moment, which goes back to like what we talked about last week, Greg. It's all about community, right? They're at least trying to salvage this game via community, which is the exact right approach. Like, okay, we took our walloping publicly. We're going to go to our Discord. We're going to reach out to our core community. We're going to build it back up into maybe something. Is it going to be mass market? Again, who knows? But is it going to at least scratch an itch and like we kind of save face with our core fandom? Probably so. And I think that would be a win for Bungie. But if they make a pile of money, then good for them too, right?
Same boat as you, Colin. Like I think that this was the wisest move for sure. And like from the like from the perspective, right, like saving face and at the same time really honing in on to and showing their community as well that they are listening to them. So I think that that's like the key piece. And I mean, you know me, I talk about it all the time. Like community is everything. And I truly think that in them listening, yeah, they'll get the sales initially, like Greg was saying, and that's really like what all you can ask for, right? And it's better than having a free to play where you're trying to claw back, especially amidst like I said, the standard price seeming to be like $40, for this PVE model of a game. So like you have it there, get the purchases initially, get people excited, for either the game itself or for what's to come into the future. And let it be like the lessons learned here that you include the community far sooner than you do, and take their feedback seriously, right? Like you don't want to be another High Guard or another like even Wildgate, right? Like Wildgate was there briefly and then it was gone, and that was one that arguably I think launched far too soon. So nonetheless they had no choice, like they were running out of money, I think. So
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's just talk about the company that's not running out of money, but might be running out of time with their gaming portfolio. Greg, are you ready to you were so happy at DICE. I'll set this up a little bit and Greg can go through the news. And this is news that's been talked about endlessly. So we're coming Johnny come lately, but that's what happens when you have a Thursday podcast. Greg was so happy and so elated that he saw his heroes at DICE. He cried, he shed a tear. He went and had a beer afterwards, probably. He thought he reached the apex. The next one was to get him to do an interview. Little did he know he was probably already out the door. So, Greg, how do you want to go with this?
Think of the hot takes we could have got if I was just brave enough to say, "Come on the podcast, Phil." We could have gotten all these hot takes before everyone else. Stephen bailed, but now he joined back again. Um, for those that didn't hear, if you've been living under a rock or you don't follow gaming like we have, Xbox had a big mix-up at the top of their breast. So Phil Spencer is gone, Sarah Bond left, and now incoming is Asha. Can't think of her last name. Sorry, I should have this up on my screen. She was an AI product manager, head of AI at Microsoft. People are freaking out about that. I wouldn't necessarily freak out about that right off the gate. And Xbox is just lost. They had a path forward. Some people believed in the Phil Spencer path forward. Many people didn't. They pushed back. Colin was clearly a lover of it, and I feel like everyone's had time to sit on it, think about it, digest it, and try and make their decision on where they think Microsoft goes from here. People have critiqued Asha's play history of 1 month fitting about 30 Xbox games into it, which is amazing. I wish I had that type of time. But are you
No,
bullish? Are you bearish, Colin?
I oh man, let's start off with, to no surprise. And so like to summarize some of the stuff that's going on, and I kind of made a comment about this earlier this week. Like all the conversation about whether she is a gamer, not gamer, equipped for the job, is the AI going to ruin Xbox? Like, what's she really doing here? Like, ultimately, I mean, I hate to be honest. I mean, this is a real spicy take. I'm sorry. If they hired a white blonde German dude, the outcome of Xbox would still be the same. So, like, let's just get past all the nonsense that's going around her. Like, it, it doesn't matter. Like, she is everything she's doing right now, she is there to scapegoat whatever positive, like, whatever outcome happens. A lot of it was predetermined prior to her even being at Microsoft as an employee. Like the die is cast, the ships are out at sea, like all the things. Like this is all decade plus of just mishandling the brand and the portfolio that led into this moment. Now she's kind of more or less holding the bag, as it were, on some terrible decisions, right? So that's like one. So like I assume she's getting paid handsomely. I wish she had a better comms team behind her. Like I don't know. I don't know what's with tech executives and like shooting from the hip on Twitter, but like stop. Like you should have your assistants just take your phone away. So that'd be my don't comment like that. It comes off as authentic, but you also kind of walk into a lot of traps that the internet's willing to pounce on you on top of. So that would be that. But ultimately, like I Greg, I am actually more bullish on Xbox for a variety of reasons, at least in the short middle term. In that and I'm writing like a 4,000 piece or 1,000 word piece today. And one thing that like really sticks with me is the notion that her comments around talking about consoles, but not really, at least in the one of the interviews, the Windows interview, was not being explicit about it being an Xbox console, which is interesting. I know she's now gone out there and said, well, we might make things exclusive. Like they kind of already do. Forza's not going to be on PlayStation day one. It's going to be on PlayStation at some point later in the year or next year, right? So they're already windowing, which is my whole point. They can go to church and come to realize like the entertainment industry. And like there's a really good podcast as an aside that I will quote in my piece this week from The Town. It's like a podcast. It's on from The Ringer. That's on Spotify if you have it. They interviewed the Sony Pictures CEO this week, and he had some amazing thoughts on just the cannibalization of streaming brought to film, not just because of like people don't go to the movie theater 3 weeks after because they assume it's on Netflix the next week. It like diminishes the whole industry and diminishes opening weekend. And he's like, the longer the window, the more money these movies make, which I, true or not true, I thought was an interesting perspective. Like he's like, Disney makes $1 billion movies, they're the only ones. And they're also the only ones that hold the line on a 100-day window from theatrical to on Disney Plus. I'm like, oh, good point. That's interesting. That's an interesting POV. And so can Xbox go to church and go back to windowing? I hope so. Because like they're not shutting down Game Pass, but can they reimagine Game Pass as a mechanism to window content too, instead of lighting money on fire? Yeah, and like, why are they going to stop lighting money on fire? Because, well, much like I think Xbox or Microsoft's going to sell Xbox for a variety of reasons tied to margin and tied to capex spend and tied to opportunity costs of Satya Nadella, and like why would he spend for shareholder reasons spend any time thinking about gaming when he can make infinitely more amount of money building server farms in the desert of Saudi Arabia? That's a better use of his time for shareholder value, right? So that's where he should spend his time. So they're in this weird spot, but like they can't keep cratering the value of of Xbox and Xbox Game Studios and undergirding assets if they want to actually see it out. So I think they're going to go to being the biggest publishing company in the world, which they already are. Like mind game wise, mind share wise, if you add up all the different parts of Microsoft, they own over 20% of the market on it just a normal week. 20%. They're the only ones. They're just so big. Now, Minecraft makes up a third of that. Um, Activision Blizzard probably make up another third of that, and everything else is on top of that, right? So, but they're just ginormous, right? Just ginormous, and you don't want to just crater that value. So I think they're going to go back to trying to make games to be sold. That would be my advice, and my hope is like they go back to selling games for full market value, and they go into windowing it later on. They are platform agnostic on where those games live. I would think that was a decision made by the previous regime. I think they continue that on because it just makes sense. Just be the biggest publisher, put your games in front of as many people as you can, and at some point they'll have a decision to make whether they keep or sell. And if they sold, they're probably going to break it up into a million pieces. But we'll save that for the end because I'd love to play the game of who gets what. But like thoughts, Greg? You're my Xbox stan. Is this the end of Game Pass? And then hello, I'll read the header mic article. RIP Xbox console and Game Pass. Hello Xbox publishing. Like that's it.
I mean, and I want Steven to jump in here too, because I think he has some opinions. But I think from my perspective, this is kind of the direction they were heading in. I mean, they were saying this is an Xbox, that's an Xbox, which was not a good marketing campaign. But they're talking about being able to game anywhere, everywhere, making it more accessible by gamers. And I think, if you build that marketplace, Steam kind of showed it, right? You can play Steam on Windows devices, but any type of device, right? If you can build that marketplace, there's stuff there to be found. There's users or audience or community there to be found. And I think, why be responsible for the hardware if you have enough other people out there willing to take the chance on making hardware when you can just create the software and that? And then when you start hearing stories that they're maybe potentially partnering with Epic to make Epic a game store in there and probably other game stores as well in there, like, come on, man. Like, you're building this platform that allows console and PC to easily go back and forth. Like, that is the future. And I love that idea. The problem is, typical Microsoft fashion, it's like the long game. It's going to take them a long time to get there. But like, I think the strategy is right. And I think it's just, can you outlast this rocky period to get through there? Steven.
No, I fully agree. I mean, I personally think that they're working towards phasing out hardware. I mean, and Azure is so powerful. I mean, they've been building that over what, like the last decade now. Like, I think that personally, they're pushing towards the cloud, right? They're pushing towards, universal accessibility while shedding, like I think and this is just my opinion, shedding the console, which I mean, obviously, most companies lose money on the console. They're losing a lot of money on their console right now. I mean, obviously you can't just phase it out overnight. It's got to be phased out. So that's one thing that I see. I also think too that it would be in their best interest, and to add on to the conversation rather than continuing to piggyback, I think that they really need to consider they have a really strong marketing team on the Activision side. They need to work to kind of cross pollinate these individuals to help kind of beef up the marketing as well. And I think that that'll really help, synergistically, obviously, buy into the value that they got from Activision, and at the same time, really push forward, the opportunity to bring to light the great games that they have and, the fantastic Game Pass that they have. One thing that I would like to see is them also too, like reconsidering and maybe like playing around with the Game Pass price a little bit more. I think that huge jump like really caught a lot of people off guard. So versus segmenting it, which is far too late now, it was probably somebody, trying to recover as much as they could from the losses and said, okay, $30 is the fine point. Let's go with it. I think that they'd be better off in some respect, like from the customer obsession point, and then in like brand management and in what it is that Xbox has been known for, to really play around with that. And then going on to Colin's point, like I think that Call of Duty, for example, like going forward, they should have that as a set premium prior to, like, you pay the full $70 for it, and then it progresses to Game Pass, as time goes on and as the hype and then the thrill and everything fizzles a little bit. So those are like some of my thoughts that like I perceive. Go ahead, Colin. Sorry, I heard you.
Oh no, totally agree. So like, you mentioned my Activision. You're absolutely right. Like, I'll just piggyback. Like, they have an outstanding marketing organization outside of this last year, right? Outstanding marketing organization. They sell Call of Duty. Like, they didn't for the first time in like a decade. They weren't the number one. So, like, outside of
Yep.
that, Harry Potter, the number one game of the year. So they have outstanding marketing organization selling people an annualized release, right? Blizzard has an outstanding community organization with Forever Games. Like, they are the OG and Forever Games with WoW and everything else, right? So they
Yep.
are good at that. King is a
Yep.
outstanding mobile gaming company, right? They print money with a older game in Candy Crush Saga, but they make a lot of money just doing that game, right? And then like I know they have other stuff, but that's like their kind of flagship, Candy Crush, right? And they've been outstanding at that. Mojang is great at Minecraft. Like, they have all these amazing assets internally. And I know Mojang has been incorporated more into Microsoft, so it's a bit different for them now. Oh, and then not to say like Bethesda, like, in my
Yep.
piece, I'm
Oh
being
yeah.
great. Like, there, if you are looking at the what's going to be the next Grand Theft Auto, well, one, nothing. But like, if there were something in the same like solar system as the next Grand Theft Auto, it's going to be Elder Scrolls 6. Like, that's it. That's the next game. Their game, Skyrim, is still a top 50 game, and that game is like 15 years old. Like, people, and it's no online component. Like, GTA Online is popular because it's online. It's meant to be that. This is like sorry, not moderator, mods keeping this game afloat via Overwolf and everything else. Like, they're just plugging in just anything to keep this game alive and going, and people still just crush time in Skyrim. So Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be just a massive game. And I know they did an interview with Kind of Funny last week where they're kind of talking about it. So like, it's obviously going to come out and it's going to be a big thing. And so if it's amazing cards on the table, and all you have to do is get out of your own way. Like, don't give it away for free. Don't give Skyrim 6 away for free for Game Pass.
Exactly.
Charge people for it. They will pay, right? They will pay $80 for that game for sure. They'll be like, here's my money. I will play this game, right? If you want to talk about the price of a game. So I just think, like, get away from hardware. Like, and their mistaken hardware goes all the way back to the Connect, man. Like, they just stepped, they had the ecosystem, they had PlayStation dead or down. It's not dead, down.
Yep.
And then they went and added the next console generation that was lower power than the PlayStation at the time, and they forced you to buy Connect for $100 as a as a thing you had to add on to the device. It's like, and I owned the Connect, and I didn't want this Wii thing in my living room. I just threw it in a box. It's like, I don't want this thing. I'm not playing bowling in my living room. I just want to play Grand Theft Auto 5, which is like literally what drove me to buy the Xbox.
Don't you remember the rare classic follow up to GoldenEye? Or what was it, Connect Sports or Connect Adventures, something like? What's after GoldenEye? Oh, it's a Connect game, just what we all want.
Oh,
But let's talk about the heyday of Xbox, right? It was the 360, and they had Major Nelson, and Major Nelson would come on and inform us. Like he was that OG YouTube influencer when OG YouTube was building up, right? They had their hype man that was coming in and informing the community. This goes back to what we talked about week over week here now, Colin, is that you need to build this community. And the truth is, Game Pass is a community. I don't think they're doing a good job as advertising it as a community, but it's there and people are sharing these accounts and sharing these games. And if you can lean heavily into the community aspect of it, again, Xbox, if you need a new Major Nelson, I love you guys. Go us. But like they need that face to come in there and be that person that says, hey man, we're building this community, not we're building the Xbox brand. We're building this community. And I think that's something that they need to lean more heavily into to in order to win if they want to win that game.
no, I mean, totally, totally. And I hope the market pressures of just not letting the valuation of your gaming assets fall off a cliff kind of stride drive them into let's just kind of do what we can. I read a quote from their new head of gaming. I had it up here. Oh yeah. I want to make sure everyone knows I'm committed to Xbox, starting with the console. No, keyword there. We're going to keep meeting players where they are, is what she said. Asha said to Windows Central in her interview. It's like, yeah, okay. So if that's what their mission statement is, then it sounds a lot like put our Xbox games everywhere. Like we'll be indiscriminate like on that, right? And console, PC, we don't really care if people want to use us as an OS on their and have the OEMs build on the Xbox ecosystem. That's like fine, but they're taking a lot of risk on the hardware side. There's less risk and less capital intensive for Microsoft to do that. So like I just think that's where they're kind of met. And might have been the path they were always going toward. But the Phil retirement tells me that Game Pass is on this strategy is going to be pivoted away from in the near future. That's what makes sense to me. Like it didn't work. His acquisition of Activision Blizzard did not drive Game Pass. Like he probably sold it internally, and as such, he's out. Sarah Bond's out because ooh, poor her, man. She became the scapegoat of everything. I feel like the hit pieces on her has just been like, oh man. So that sucks for her, but they clearly are like, and she was the problem, which true or not true, I don't know, but like that seems to be the vibe coming out of Redmond, and yeah, and I think we'll see what Asha is going to do at Summer Game Fest. That'll be her first like big major public moment where she'll get on stage or and talk about what's happening with Xbox, and a lot of attentive eyes on that for sure.
I would. Oh, I would add too, like, let's not forget, I mean, I know that there's, mixed things about Matt Booty. I personally think that, it's good that he's where he's at, and I think that she really needs to lean into him, like, heavily too for the game side, right? So, just from my own perspective, I think that that's going to be key is that she, like, she understands that she's not the game expert. Lean into your experts. You've also got Joanna Ferries, on the Activision side, who, I mean, was with the NFL for a number of years and then has been with Activision for the last 7. Like lean heavily into your like very seasoned individuals that are in the C-suite. Like you've got like there's still some stellar individuals in there. Sorry, Colin, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good. I was actually engaging with the chat, man. So look at me. I'm trying to do the community bit too.
There's so
But
much
people still
chat
want to
going
talk
on
about
today. I
Meta.
love it. Thank you everyone
Uh,
for participating in chat. It makes it so much more engaging.
Yeah, no, I
and I,
apologize for dropping in and out too. I've got interesting connections, so I'm making do with what I have, and I love this chat so far. So I do
all
hope I
good.
get welcomed back again.
Yeah, for
Oh no,
sure.
you're good.
Uh,
And so just to tie a bow, like what is she like Asha walking into? I think she's walking into like a just a banger of a year for the Microsoft gaming portfolio. Here are the titles. Like I've been pretty vocal and I'll continue. Forza Horizon 6 is gonna be a monster hit. Just a monster hit. It's gonna blow everyone's expectations away. It's just a beast of a game. Just mark it down. Like it keeps growing every single week. It's easily the second biggest game coming out this first half of the year at the point of where it is in terms of its release cycle for outside of Resident Evil, right? It's just gonna blow the doors off. So that's a win she'll be able to notch in her belt, right? There'll be a lot of like, oh my gosh, Forza, is it what's going on with this IP and whatever. And then like, past Forza, you still have Fable. It depends when they release Fable, but it's a to me there's more questions around Fable. It's not as clear about that one, but we'll see where they ultimately try to put it out. And then going beyond that, reported via a lot of channels, there's a StarCraft game coming out at some point that they're going to presumably announce sooner than later. I think it was reported in various outlets, at least leaked. So if there's indeed a StarCraft thing, and there hasn't been a StarCraft thing in like a decade, you're going to just see a huge groundswell of demand, especially out of Korea. But I, as a StarCraft super fan, I'm like, yeah, I'm really interested in engaging with like what StarCraft has going on, right? So I think there's a lot of wins, and never mind Elder Scroll 6, which we talked about, right? Like then that's like
Yeah.
the biggest thing in the horizon across everything is like Elder Scroll 6. Minecraft movie, like there's just a lot of wins she's gonna walk into. How she leverages those to kind of reshape the direction of Xbox will be interesting to watch. But I think they're gonna get a lot of flowers thrown at them over the next 12 months.
You
Starting with
know,
Forza.
you brought up something that we talked about on this week's podcast, which is kind of funny, right? We talked about something called the Proteus effect, but more so we were talking about player motivation and what makes gamers want a game. And this gentleman studies 12 attributes of gamers to kind of see what gets them going, what gets them excited. And he mentioned that the biggest decline in genres over the years has been real-time strategies. If you look back to 1998 to 2000, and I think Steven, this is why we started talking. I think we were right. RTS has rocked everything, man. There was StarCraft, there was Age of Empires, there was Command and Conquer, there was regular old Warcraft before the world.
Pigmen. Don't forget Pigmen. I mean, one of the smaller ones, like in the early 2000s, tiny, and I mean, it blew up. It's finally blown up on Nintendo, and it was arguably shadowed.
Yeah, WoW Classic. That's what Pete's talking about in chat now. And what happened with the RTS is that my theory is, right, we all have ADHD brain now, right? And all of a sudden we don't have the time to sit there and plan a base and build a base and take that time. I used to dedicate hours playing Command and Conquer, building that perfect base. And now, you have games that like the Supercell games, right? That Clash of Clans where you click to wait 24 hours to build something, right? But the problem is that time is just less. And when you think about more, I always thought with the implementation of mobile gaming fragmented. It basically, you have real gamers, which I'm going to call the nerds, right? We were the nerds that played games growing up, and that's what I know. Colin doesn't like it, right? But we would sit there for hours.
No, you're talking about Simon's whole like shtick. I mean, gosh, this is like what I
Right,
wake
we
up
grew up
to
as
like 2 in the
nerds
morning.
playing these games,
Yep.
right? Even board games. I don't know if you've ever played Axis and Allies, but that game takes about a day to set up, right? And then you play it, and it's probably like a 7-day game because we were nerdy. We loved that lore, but now all of a sudden it's mainstream, and you have people wanting to move quick and not to have time to do stuff. And I think with that, the idea of the strategy game just kind of dissipated. And when you look deeper into it, it actually fragmented. You have MOBA, you have 4X, which kind of put it in different ways to approach those games. But is there a place where the real-time strategy game could come back? There's been games which you may not be familiar with that came out last year, like Tempest Rising. Super cool game. It's kind of like the blood brother to Command and Conquer, but like they don't get traction. And the question is, can those RTSs come back? And if anyone were to save it, to your point on what you're talking about, Colin, it's StarCraft, because that's kind of like the mothership.
Yeah, I mean, unless they get off their couch and bring me back RTS Warcraft, but I think that ship has
Yep.
long sailed, and I'll just forever be bitter against World of Warcraft for killing Warcraft 4, but whatever. Not bitter, not bitter at all. I don't disagree with that. It's interesting because you're touching on another conversations out there. Is like gamers are losing. Like you're seeing less gamers because people are distracted by all the things, which we kind of talked about a little bit last week, Greg. And so I don't want to like revisit that conversation. But one of the thought threads like coming out of that is like, well, yeah, if all these hyper casual gamers are like fleeing gaming, like so what, right? Like it's kind of like I think one of the perspectives out there. It's like we're not here to chase 40-year-old moms, like to be core gamers. Like we're done with that. Except unless you're Netflix or Amazon, they're very much doubling down on we're going to convert these moms into gamers. I'm of the belief of no, just make gamer games for gamers, right? So and go back to what you were doing prior to the last like half decade or so, where you were trying to make these games that are trying to be everything for everyone. Just don't. Just stop doing that, right? Make games for the sect of gamers you're trying to reach, right? And you will grow naturally from that, right? Yeah, and there's this notion that you can't make new IP, and I just fundamentally disagree with that. We didn't really talk about top of the call, but Poppy Playtime was the #4 game in the world this week. It's a new IP. It came from 2021. It's now on its 5th chapter. So this I notion that you can't break through is ludicrous. You just got to know how to reach the audiences where they are via content, right? You just got to go build community, all the things we talked about last week. So I don't want to kind of beat a dead horse there. But yeah,
Poppy's Playtime. That is something I want to talk about because my kids have been asking about it. And before we jump onto it, Stephen, I don't know if you had anything else to talk about on our last topic there, the RTS side of things and
The
stuff. But
RTS side. So I think that like the both of you, I think Colin, like StarCraft is second to none. And I'll tell you what, I think what really drives it is the narrative aspect, the diversity of difficulty too. Like if you want to play single player, you can, right? If you want to play online with the crazies online, you absolutely can play with the crazies online, right? That or like the hardcore gamers like and compete at that level. So I think that yeah, like if anybody's gonna do it at StarCraft at this point, and I would say too, like bring the modding back also too within it and let your community drive it. So like I know we heart you both, clearly harp on it like I do. Let the community help to drive that and to help bring about the ideas and the R&D for you. Like that would be like my best piece of advice, once they gear it back. Like and that's
yeah.
where yeah,
And,
go ahead.
when Dota wants to sell to you, buy Dota and don't let Valve go in and buy Dota too. And then right,
Exactly.
and skin it as Dota 2, and then have League of Legends eat both your lunches anyway. So yeah, a lot of lessons on the mod community that Blizzard I'm sure wish they would have taken to heart back in the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
It could have been League of Legends basically. They chose not to.
so
Um,
taking a few pieces of these conversations, right? You're talking about modding now and kind of how that keeps games around. We talked about Skyrim and how Skyrim built a great community, which has a lot of great mods in it. And that kind of wraps the bow up to what we want to talk about with Poppy's Playtime, right? It's this unknown game to anyone that's probably over 25 or 30 years old that is taking the world by storm. If you're on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, odds are you swiped by this character, having no idea who this character is. And then you realize, oh, this is the biggest character in gaming right now because they've created a community that gives back. They've created a community that engages, and it just shows you the power where if you put some time and effort into this, that audience, that community will pay dividends to you by doing the legwork for you, right? So either of you want to break down what Poppy's Playtime is? Maybe I'll let Colin do that.
I will break it. It's a mascot horror game, and to me, it's the next in line of a series of like mascot horror games that have been driven by the internet, right? So I go to Five Nights at Freddy's, the
Yep.
OG of this, right, where Matt Pat built game theory in part on the idea that he was just gonna make up a bunch of theories about what's going on inside of Five Nights, right? So, so much so that when they made the movie, he was like literally in the movie. So, you know so when people are like, "Oh, Five Nights, is that going to be successful?" I was like, yeah, the YouTube was built in part because of Five Nights, or Five Nights was built in part because of YouTube. Like, there's this like weird cycle that happened with that particular game. So, but that said, like that's a game for millennials, and older Gen Z, basically, right? So like, no one wants to play or be engaged with what their older brothers are involved with. They want their own thing. So kind of in the line of kind of fast forward through the last 15 years or whatever since Five Nights, you have Granny, you have Hello Neighbor, which is going to be a movie too. It'll probably be wildly successful, right? And then in the 2020s you have Poppy Playtime, which is like literally another mascot horror game. The guy's blue, has got teeth everywhere. They come out with like, now they're on the 5th chapter, and each chapter grows its audience. And where is this thing native? It's native on YouTube and TikTok. It's native where these like younger audiences are, and that's where it's garnering up this fandom and this attention. And so the film rights have already been purchased by Legendary, and so when they do come out, I think it'll be a wildly successful horror movie, like, or whatever it ends up being, right? Because it's got this massive built-in community that's only growing with each iteration of the game. And the game came out, and there was a 2 year before the next chapter, but they've been on a cadence of it every single year. A new chapter comes out, so they've kind of figured out how to roll these out faster to keep the community engaged. And so, to me, having it pop off, not a surprise at all. Is it a random thing? No, it's consistently always there, and it's born of the internet. It's of the internet, and that's just like the latest line of those kind of games.
It's like almost like a UGC, like you make your own horror story, like in some capacity, right? Like obviously within the gates of the game. And I mean, the thing that I grabbed onto, Colin, to like tag onto you, like it's very like user generated content driven. Like people can play it, and like obviously, I mean, I would turn down the volume and probably voiceover write what's going through my head as I'm going through the game. And I'm a very animated individual when it comes to horror games, so I'm even interested in playing it. As much as I hate the horror genre because I have an overactive imagination, I think it would be entertaining to see how I would react, while going through a game like that, right? And so, like, the process, like, the humanistic from a first person view, like, okay, I'm in this, this area of toys. I've clearly neglected the toys. Oh, shoot, the toys are retaliating on me, and I'm in a lot of trouble now, and, like you said, like Five Nights at Freddy's, like, I saw the first movie, and I'm like, yep, I'm probably not going to sleep tonight, after watching this movie. And the same thing with I barely skimmed the game, that particular game. I think that this is one though that I can do. It's got more of a comical aspect to it too, so you can kind of separate, like I guess the artificial from the reality. Which I mean, in Five Nights, like I could see that with the graphics and with everything going on being a little more realistic, kind of like like it goes back to that. Oh gosh, what was that horror movie that Paris Hilton was in? The Wax Museum. Like, could you imagine that like coming out as a game like back in the day, like what that would have been? So like that's kind of like what I get from thinking like of poppies, like just in general, like that's my own take on it. Is I've watched it before. It's one that I'll probably get into at some point, more than likely post NBA when I have more time. And it'll be fun just to see like like what happens with that. Like I'm curious to know how it plays, and at the same time how I'll react to playing it.
I think the reaction aspect is the biggest part of it. I'm willing to bet a lot that most people who know this game will never play the game. They'll be on YouTube just watching the reactions and the scare things, right? And that itself is such a genius marketing move because it gets you interested. Like, what is this? What is this? And it's just so smart. And I think, we're going to see more games like that. And just how do horror games take off? It seems that maybe you play on the reactions of people. I remember when PT came out, I've never played PT because it scared the living crap out of me. But how many times did I watch that video over and over again, still getting scared every single time? And I think, certain formats create better reaction videos.
I got totally. And so like I have one thing on update before we jump, or if we get to that. But like I will say, like for me, if there's anyone listening that's on, like, don't discount. Like if you're trying to learn what Poppy Playtime is done, it's the same thing that me and Greg had talked about before. Like go, like don't look at the channels like TikTok and YouTube as competition for your time. Lean into them as a user acquisition tool. Like how this is where you bore fandom. Like they get involved in your game, not from a time spent in the game first. Usually it's time spent with the content that then leads them to spend time in the game. And this is just a great example of fandom being born via other channels that then funnel into the game because every single chapter has more players in the game itself. But they do that because they get the attention elsewhere first, right? So they don't see it as competition, they see it as a user acquisition vehicle, right? So that'd be my larger lesson to those who listen to this. I have to give a marathon update real quick because I'm watching it.
Yep.
We're at a 100 plus 113 CCUs on Steam on the server slam, and it's been going live for an hour. Good sign so far. Not necessarily to me, you have to hit 200,000 concurrents on Steam as a proxy to everything else. That seems like the mental line I have. So they're halfway there. On the server side.
Thursday, man, where people are at school and work right now. Give them
Yep.
some slack.
I know. Well, Europe
I
is on.
agree.
Europe's nighttime. Europe is nighttime. That's where you're looking at. But I hear you.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, it was funny because I actually made that comment to the individual that I was talking that had posted it, right. Like Slam going live, I'm like, I'm at work, I can't play it, so it's like it'll have to wait.
Tonight, though. Tonight is the night.
120 now. 120. I know. I got to download that in my game on my PlayStation before I sign off.
All right, we're
Wednesday.
to the last 10 minutes. Anything you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about the new stream?
I do want to talk about the spinoff. It's a fun game. So let's, Greg, I'm sorry. Let's presume Microsoft is gonna have to let go of Xbox gaming and all its assets at some point in the next 5 years. Where would you? I will rattle off my thinking on this to kind of update the spinoff game. Not to say I want it to happen. I want to make it work, but let's presume this is the game. So here's my thinking. Activision, Call of Duty go to Tencent because Tencent does Call of Duty Mobile in China. That just makes sense for them, right? They've always wanted a Call of Duty, and they could just buy it. That would probably be the move for them. King, I think goes to Scopely. Makes a lot of
Yep.
sense there. Saudis would shore up the mobile market by acquiring one of the major other things. So the Saudi group buys King. I'll save Blizzard for last, but we've kind of hinted at it before. I think Minecraft might be the one they keep. I don't know. I don't know who take that. I think it's too expensive, and I don't know where it would actually go. Like, and that might be the one that actually becomes this barnacle on Microsoft that they can't quite get rid of, for reasons of it just doesn't have a natural home, per se. So that is one I think. Blizzard. It would make sense for them to go to NetEase because NetEase distributes a lot of the Blizzard titles in China, so that would make sense. But I mentioned this to you before, Greg, on a previous episode. Still think Disney, if Disney wants to get in gaming, this is the path. And why Disney, other than geographically
Yep.
located in California, it's because their characters are not overly hypersexualized and they're not hyper violent games. It just kind of makes sense ish, right? I'm like, yeah, I could see it. It would be a big, huge, different step for Disney, but I wouldn't be shocked if that came across. I was like, yeah, I could see it, right? But NetEase is the more obvious fit, obviously. And then Bethesda ZeniMax. If Netflix can't buy Warner Bros. Discovery and wants to get serious about gaming, if for any reason to buy the IP for TV adaptations, enter Bethesda. Um, that'd be the one. Or you could see it packaged up, in my opinion, and be sold off to Sony Interactive, right? Could Bethesda and a bunch of other the Xbox Studio assets like Forza and
Yep.
Playgrounds get sold off to Sony Interactive, including the great irony, maybe typo on this, Bungie getting Halo back. Could could see it, right? But let's hope that doesn't happen. That's my take, but that's my spin game. That's where I think things will end up. Thoughts, Greg? Is
Yeah,
this
it's
painful for you?
you thought about this. Now you're putting me on the spot here, right? Like I'm thinking, like I love what Embark is doing, right? Arc Raiders was great. The Finals was great. I don't see that being a Halo game though, right? And I don't think it's maybe it's closer to Gears in a way where you can kind of alter what Gears looks like and put it in there. But I feel like Embark is doing some cool stuff. And I would want them to see them take on some of the IP. Uh, Minecraft Mojang, right? To your point, probably too big. I still think there's a play where Zuckerberg comes in and says, "I want that because it fits better into my ecosystem, and I can afford that." And I think he is that. I don't give a shit money, and I'm going to do that.
God dang, that is a good take, man. I'm too far. That's a good one. If he actually really wants to get into the metaverse, he just buys that, right? That makes so much sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
God
think it's a
dang.
no-brainer. I mean, I still think it's
He,
Roblox. I think he wants a Roblox, but I think he'll take Minecraft as a
Oh yeah.
second place.
he can't buy a publicly traded company, but could he buy a public or a private asset or a
You can buy a
portion of an
publicly traded
asset?
company. Ask Ubisoft. They fight it
Ah,
off every 2 years.
well, we'll see. I don't think they're gonna
10 cent.
let
Yeah.
Zuck buy anything anymore, but maybe Minecraft would be. Oh man, that's a good one.
Blizzard, I like your Disney thought, but I also think it goes to a Tencent or a NetEase, someone who has West Coast or Western ties or Eastern ties, whatever you want to look
How
at
would you
it.
feel about Amazon taking on Minecraft?
Amazon's gonna die, man. Amazon gaming is not gonna make it.
It's in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
No.
it's just been flop after flop, and then they come back really strong with a flop.
The challenge with them, in my opinion, and Facebook too, is that they're in the same capex like arms race as
Yep.
Microsoft, where their billions of
Exactly.
dollars are very spent chasing AI server farms. The thing about Meta that's interesting is like they can monetize with ads inside Minecraft tomorrow and make the money back. So to me, like, or that and not great for the kids that are in that, but like I could see a world where they bolt an ad platform on that, which as Matt Ball's whole thing, there needs to be ads in games, and like if Meta got their hand on a gaming company like a Roblox or a Minecraft, they would make a ton of money in ads for sure.
You're. I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, they are number one. So I mean, and they're still number one. I mean, Instagram's the next hot. I mean, it's been hot and it still is hot. So, and I mean, and Facebook is hot and it's still going to be hot for the foreseeable future. So no, I agree with you on that.
Instagram is my shopping mall now, where I go on Instagram and just like it's all ads now. I don't even think I see anyone I know's content anymore. It's just ads, and I'm like, you know what?
Yep.
I do need to shop in my Sky Mall right now, and I'm just gonna flug through Instagram and do some shopping, right? It's
No
not content.
guilt free.
I used to be baby pictures of my friends, and now it's just straight up like product. It's like, hey, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy that? I'm like, you know what? I accept it. It's like a shopping mall. I will go in the shopping mall and have like 30 minutes to kill and see if I get targeted with the right ad at the right moment to say, you know, I did need a screwdriver. I didn't know I needed
That's
this, but thank
great.
you. Something like
We
that,
have
right?
a
You're like, and by the way, here's Minecraft to go with your screwdriver. Have a nice day.
we
Like
have
you can play Minecraft now. Like
question and comments from Benjamin asking what our prediction for first sale for Marathon first month sales. Looking at the numbers, if this is right, first month sales for ARC were about 3.2 million, just based on a quick Google search. And lifetime sales are now about
14.
plus
nah, it's
14.
14
It's over
million.
14. Yeah.
That's 14
So
million.
where are you going to throw Marathon, higher or lower than say the 3.5 million in the first couple of weeks at ARC saw?
I'm so refrained to have that number before the service time data hits our data set in my game. So I would be literally just guessing. And I'm not trying to couch. It's just like the fact of this is going to make or break the game. But I'll tell you what it was before the service line. I'm all about that. Yeah, no. Eh, in and around 1.5 to 3 million pre-service slam is where I would have placed it. But I think the service slam is going to change. It could change things for positive or negative, right? But that prior to that, all their marketing efforts had it kind of fall there. Now, if it was just before all the drama in the summer, this game would have sold like 5 million to 10 million
Yeah.
units right away, right? So a huge step back to what the brand of next game from Bungie would have done without the drama in the summer, but they are where they are. And again, I think it's a fine, right? I think they're gonna I know Ben was talking in the chat saying like they need to make this a home run hit. I think that to me, it's whatever the next iteration of Destiny is.
Yeah.
That's the make or break for Bungie. It's whatever they do with Destiny. It's not more DLCs. They're gonna have to do a sequel to Destiny, a Destiny 3, obviously, is my take. And whatever that is to bring back everybody into the fray is gonna be the thing that decides whatever Bungie is in the future. Marathon is just like a like a side project, right?
Yeah, it's the what was had the potential to be a main project, right? Gone to a side project by unfortunate circumstances. So, and yeah, Destiny's like their bread and butter. I mean, they have to. That's the one that I think that they have to hit the home run on. Like, whether it's Destiny 3 or Destiny 2.5, whatever it is, they can't. That's where they can't miss. Like, they absolutely can't miss.
All right, we are just about at time, and I'm going to give you each one more moment to speak. But first of all, thank you everyone in the community who's here listening. This is our biggest turnout yet. We had lots of conversations. We had great just topics to talk about. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Stephen, for jumping on today. In the top corner here, you'll see our QR code for our Discord. You should come join the conversation. We're talking on there all the time. It's becoming much more of an active place. Thank you to all the people that help keep the conversation flowing in there. We have new content coming out all the time, so follow Player Driven. Colin, let us know where we can find you.
Colin Neese, you can find me on LinkedIn. Colin Neese, pretty easy. Mind Game Data, obviously, I write a weekly newsletter called Patch Notes. That's on Substack and LinkedIn. So yeah, find me there.
Steven,
Find me
let
at
us know
GDC too. I'll be there in like 2 weeks. So if you have time on basically Thursday, I have time for you. Beyond that, I think my calendar is shot, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but.
And next week we'll dive deep into GDC, and you can get a special date with Colin if you message him in the Discord. No, there's no promises to that, but there you go. Steven, let us know where we can find you, Steven. Ooh,
You can find me on LinkedIn, and then I just started recently streaming around on TikTok, and I'm playing around with Twitch. Nostalgic Gamer Steve is my hashtag my @ for TikTok. And so, like, those are the two places that you can find me at this point. And then otherwise, I'll be at GDC too, and actually hanging out with Colin on Wednesday for a little bit. So,
true FOMO here, true FOMO. But everyone, again, thank you so much for joining us today. I will have links and comments that will be coming out afterwards.